I like that. Seeing Jay Vogue like that.
Was I the only one voguing during that shit? What's happening, folks?
Strike the pose.
Look alive.
All right, now we're live. We'll do it live, as Jay just
Fuck it, we're doing live.
This is the first Q&A session for the 2021 Milwaukee Twisted Dreams Film Festival. Pretty excited to be here. Sucks we couldn't be in a theater, that we have to do this all virtually, but hey, it is what it is. We got life has to go on. So this week we have two filmmakers, Brian Cleveland and what's your name, sir?
AV Super Sunshine.
AV Super Sunshine. AV Super Sunshine. You heard it there. Why don't we go a little bit around? We'll do round robin, introduce each other, who are co-hosts. We've got quite a few co-hosts because a lot of filmmakers didn't show up, so I'm glad they showed up. I'm Chris. I'm the festival director. Let's go to my, what is that, right? Chris?
Chris Thornton, half of the Thornton Bros team.
I'm the other half, Jay.
And you guys are actually filmmakers that have a film in this.
Yeah, we got a feature in. I don't know if you guys put it in the Wisconsin or the whatever.
It's just a feature.
Cool. That's our first feature we made. We're screenwriters by trade, so kind of written novels, written all kinds of shit. But
from Cactus Jack, you can see that on the Twisted Dreams Film Festival.
Yep, look it up if you dare. Super extreme trigger warnings.
Yeah, it's 1 out of 6 of our features this year.
Oh shit, that's it.
Why don't we go? We'll go on to Molly. Molly, introduce yourself.
I'm Molly. I'm one of the co-producers this year.
Assistant director.
Twisted Dreams. Assistant director. Assistant Dream. Twisted Dreams. I can't talk. It's hot.
Now we have Tom, our other assistant director.
Yes.
Hi, Tom.
How's it going, guys?
His birthday today, so everybody wish Tom a happy birthday.
Woo! It's been a great
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Brian, who's no stranger to the Twisted Dreams Film Festival. I think he's had films in here for the past few years. So.
Heck yeah.
What films do you have in the festival this year, Brian? Because we have 2.
Yeah, I have a short film that we made in quarantine when we were just the first week of the shutdowns. It's called Contaminated. And then I have another film that we made before the quarantine happened in February of 2020, and that's called The Box Fort.
Yeah, both excellent films. AV Super Sunshine, why don't you introduce yourself? Who are you? What film do you have in the festival?
Well, I'm a recording artist from Fond du Lac, and I was coerced into making some films. So we've got a short called Alien Abduction. We also have a 58-minute version, documentary style. So the short is like a pull out from that documentary, and it's kind of in the documentary. We will go to tell our story to a filmmaker, but he wants us to make a little film. So that's the short. It's a little film that I made for the filmmaker.
Excellent. Yeah, and I'm glad you're here because I think your film is one of the Thornton brothers' highlights of the festival. Did you guys enjoyed Alien Abduction, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want us to talk about it now. I don't know when you're going to announce anything or whatever, but definitely enjoyed the film. Thought it was very interesting. I think I said to Chris, it felt like a soul coughing song come to life or something. So I don't know if that reference means anything or makes sense to you, if you hate Mike Dowdy and his musical stylings. But it was interesting, just kind of propulsive and sucked you in, Good job, man.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's very stylish. You could tell.
Yeah, exactly. Now, first thing I want to say is just good job to anyone who made anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like that's the first achievement is just to make something.
Right, especially this last year.
Right. So regardless of how it's received or if others like it or not, hopefully you make your art just to express yourself. And, you're always working to get better. So,
yeah, I just want to thank everybody for not making only Zoom films because I had my fill of those the first couple months of the pandemic. All that we saw were these dumb Zoom films. And some of them were good, but most of them were just phoned in.
Educate me. You mean like a reading sort of situation where people film it over Zoom, literally?
Yeah.
Like it would be like this.
Yeah.
It would be like this, and it's a film, hey, did you hear what Bobby did to Jimmy the other day?
Did you see the Fast Times at Ridgemont High reenactment? Shia LaBeouf, doing a Sean Penn's role, etc.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty
quite
interesting.
Those were pretty good. But these are just more. Oh, they're just, I don't know.
I have a question for AV Super Sunshine. Was that story you told from someone else's point of view, or was it you that happened to?
That was me and my wife have been abducted 2 times, and twice the aliens have come to our location. Once they took us in the craft, that would be abduction number 2, and the 3rd time just for a visit. And I've got, if you watch the full film, I've got photos. They landed a saucer on the ice. I got the photos of that. I got a picture of an alien. It's pretty cool.
You got a picture of an alien?
Yeah, that's a long story.
Can we see it? Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking better.
Damn, I know how to ask the questions right. Oh, yes.
So, hopefully you can see this. This is where they landed the saucer in front of my house. I live on Lake Winnebago.
Okay.
And you can see there's a small ring inside. And then where the bottom of the craft is, and the outer edges, of course, we're up off the ice. But everything underneath it melted in a circular. And then, let's see. This is the kind of craft they fly.
Okay.
It's
very Bob Lazar.
This is Bob Lazar's sport model. It's a platform, with some reactors, and then this stuff's just like you would say, oh, it's tinfoil. It's a metal that's really thin. It's like a flying pup tent. It's like unbelievable.
All right, $64,000 question. Did you get probed or not? What's
up? No way. What?
So there's the guys. That's who's flying them. Right now they're trying to figure out who's flying them. Well, here's one.
So, are there any super sunshine hybrids running around right now?
How'd you get that picture?
I asked them for a picture.
That's all.
Yeah. Well,
you didn't take a selfie with them?
The last time I tried, but
they autograph it.
The last time they were here, they would not stay because they knew I was going to get a picture. Because if I had a picture standing next to them, I'd make life a little bit simpler.
Right.
But so this is like underground. I don't have this posted on my website or anything, but I love talking underground about this because someday.
So now I have to have you on my radio show.
Yep.
Radio show.
Also, can you put me in touch with their dealer?
I co-host a radio show every Saturday called Area 1051, and we talk about aliens and Bigfoot and all that. I've got to have you on the radio show. I've got to have you call in and give your story.
Okay. If you're from Wisconsin, it happened on the way home from Milwaukee on Highway 41, the first abduction, and it was maybe about 8 miles north of what used to be the Holy Hill interchange. There used to be a truck stop there, and it was up the road from there, and they took us under a double underpass. So, and it was a cloudy night. It was new moon. Twice when they brought a craft in and kept it, it was new moon nights. It's just interesting. That's where it happened. And I went.
Is that 167? Are you talking that road?
Yeah, it's right. It's the tail end of the Kettle Moraine State Forest, right around Allentown. That area.
Oh, okay.
Up 41, and then so we went out to the UFO bar, which is in Dundee, Wisconsin. Another filmmaker from Wisconsin actually made a film about it called the Dundee Project. Yeah,
yep.
And in it, he talks to the people that go to the bar. So we went to the bar because I wanted to see the pictures and talk to the owner. And they have lots of pictures. I've got friends who live in that area that have seen saucers nonstop, but there were 0 abductions, none. There's a guy who says there's a guy who says they visit him in the bedroom, but visiting in the bedroom, whether that's physical or non-physical, is not abducting. It's not landing a craft and putting you in it and flying you off. So, there's none in the area.
So you have like bragging rights over him?
No.
Ronnie Martin in the house.
Well,
that's the difference between
I don't know,
third kind and the fourth kind, right?
Yeah, it's no fun being the alien abducted guy.
Are you able to call the
Yeah.
aliens
That's
down?
fun.
Are you able, are you
That's
able
pretty
to
fun.
are you able to call the aliens down? Because I know some people can do that. We had a guest, an author by the name of Preston Denon on a few times on the radio show, and he said he's a well-known UFO researcher, and he said if you go out in your backyards and you get a flashlight, and you just wave your flashlight around, you can summon down the UFOs.
Can someone
He actually did that.
document this?
He was on the Kardashians show, keeping up whatever their show is, the Kardashians, and he taught the Kardashians how to do it. I'm like, if the Kardashians come down and abduct or if the aliens come down and abduct the Kardashians, that would be okay.
AV, I asked this to both of our guests. Would you rather be abducted by aliens or Kardashians?
God.
The aliens they're much self-control. They're more of a structured. They're not.
That could be a negative.
If you really look, I studied a lot of UFO abductions, and the only ones that sound legit to me where a craft came down and took somebody and off on the craft and came back, and there were witnesses and things. One of them was a guy who got too close to the craft. He got out of the car. His buddies were loggers. Get back in the car. No, and he gets hit by some pulse that they put off, and they take off and leave his buddy there. So the aliens pick him up, take him off planet. This was in the Pacific Northwest. I forget which one, but then they fix him and bring him back. He wakes up in a doctor's office, somewhere off planet. They got him hooked up to some machines, getting him back to life. And they drop him off 2 days later. So it's interesting. They're not like, they don't have guns. They're not gunships. We shoot them down. They don't shoot us down, right? You see all the video they're releasing now.
They just control us from the upper echelons of society.
I don't know. It might just
babies.
be. It might be gear. I got a mechanic and he's a drag racer. And him and his buddies got cars. Let's look. I put this engine in this one. So these might even be guys building them in their garage on their planet. They're pretty. They're like
It's like grease monkeys of the alien world.
You're getting the Uber driver.
So you get inside this thing, and it fires up and makes its own gravity, artificial gravity. And then it pulls the universe to it, So it's here and it's, pull this over here, So that's how they move. That's why they don't make any sound, And
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Did you said you've done a lot of studying of UFO abductions, etc. Did you do a lot of studying before you were abducted, or was
I
the
didn't
abduction what precipitated you doing all this research?
Well, it's scary because what happened to us, we were gone for a long time. I was hooked to a machine, and just a lot of stuff happened to us. And then you try to figure out why, And you want to hear the funny, this is abduction number 2, okay? So I wrote this song about the abduction after the abduction, and I recorded it down in Nashville. And this cat who filmed like some live performance says, I want to make a video for this. Okay, out in California with some mannequins from a movie and all my buddies. That's the mannequin footage. So we get out there and we make this film, and he was going to enter it into the Nashville shorts and some other stuff. And he gets back to Nashville, and I got a career coach because I didn't know what do you do with a movie. So the career coach says, give him a deadline. So we gave him a deadline, which was like 9 months later, and all the way up to it. Yeah, I'm almost done. And on the day before the deadline, I'll have it all ready for you to see tomorrow. And the deadline, I didn't do anything. And so his excuse was he was seeing aliens in his backyard and stuff like that, and he was freaking him out. So he never did any work on it. So now I just spent this money on a career coach, did all of our things, had everywhere I was going to do with it, and now there's no film, So they came that night to say, hey, don't worry, man, it's that time, So weird, So yeah, I want to know about everything I can because I think they're coming back again,
I mean, yeah.
After the first time they came, me and my wife were like, I was like, I think they're going to come back. She's like, no, they're not coming back. And after the second time they came, she says, they're coming back. They're coming back. It just went. So it's not that relaxing.
Next time, get out your cell phone and record that shit. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Give us some hard evidence to hang our hats on.
And if there are guys who have been abducted, and taken on a craft, where are they? Hey, where are they? If they went to the government and said, hey, got abducted on a craft, well, did they disappear? Are they gone? And then you look at the space race. You got Elon Musk making rockets. Who the hell wants to ride in a rocket if you had a saucer? You'd be nuts. I'm going to strap all this, this giant rocket that could just explode. Boom. Well, I could just sit in this pup tent and go from here to there. So, I mean,
way more groovy,
it's scary, I just hiding out, man, hiding out.
Yeah, but you didn't have a good experience when you were on the craft, according to the movie, right?
Well, they had me hooked to a machine for hours, and they had something flowing in and out of me. I explained it with the tubes. It was like light pipes, and you could see bubbles going in and out, and then when they brought us back, we're kind of really drugged up, and when they brought us back, they put us in the car, and when the crafts took off, they left one there to kind of they distort time when they're running. So you can, I got a thing in the trailer on my website. If you hit film, there's a trailer. So it's about a minute and a half, but in it is Tom DeLonge, who's got the To the Stars Academy with all the ex-government guys all giving him stuff, which was confirmed in the Podesta email leak in like 2016 that he's working with the government. So he's telling Joe Rogan, that they can, he's confirming what happened to us. He's saying that there's kind of a time distortion, and you can land a craft and take a Coke out of one guy's hand, put it in another guy's hand, and then fly away. And they'll be like, how'd this get in my hand? So, and that's how they kind of froze a moving car. So when they stuck us back in the car and took off, I wasn't able to move anything. I was just like inside my little head, looking out my eyes, and headed for like a wall, the side, with the guardrail, with the big cement pillars, and all of a sudden, bam, we're going 55 right at it, and
That's a dick move to stick you back in a moving car.
That's how they took us out of the moving car. So if it was an exercise to see if they could do it, I mean, can do it. And then then my body drove the car until it got under control. And all of a sudden, bam, I had control of my hands and my feet. And I was driving a 4 or 5 speed automatic. So my body was shifting. So they were able to program something into me to make my body respond without my brain doing it. So there might be some other stuff in here that I'd like to get rid of.
So Brian,
this was EMT.
It triggered your muscle memory,
Yeah. It's just yeah.
This is
maybe that's all I was hooked to the machine for, just to program my body to do that, But and then I explained in the machine. The machine was aimed at this screen, okay, that was like a two-way, like the weathermen sometimes use, where they can write on it, and it's got the video inside. Except for the videos, it's like a Zoom call, but there's like a million aliens everywhere, bang, and it's 3D. It's like everywhere in a Zoom box is a gray everywhere. So it's like, am I watching like a thousands of grays watching me? So that's what it felt like.
This is hands down a record for us. The very first question that we asked threw us completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll talk to underground like this to whoever wants to know, because the more stuff we talk about, the more it's out there, and then I won't be as scared.
House, I have one question. House, are we allowed to change our votes as we listen to the filmmakers? I'm just kidding. No. Totally kidding.
Jared, the other filmmaker, he said, "Can you make me something?" And so we got this racetrack and little cars. I didn't know. We tried our best, but we wanted to show kind of what we could.
I actually like that about that, the impressionism of it.
Yes.
It's like, well, it reminded me too of Todd Haynes' Karen Carpenter Superstar. You ever see that? The Superstar Karen Carpenter movie he made with the Barbies and everything. Just the fact that like you got no budget. I love that scrappy do-it-yourself thing. It's very in vogue coming out of film school now to try and shoot on a red and make everything look slick in Hollywood. And I love it when somebody just takes what little things they have around them to tell the story.
My wife's nephew was big into Legos. Now he's like a Boy Scout age, kind of growing out of it. But when he was,
hey, I'm in Legos and I'm almost 50. What are you talking about?
Oh, there you go.
Shit.
Well, he still likes it. But anyways, because of it, we bought a bunch of sets ourselves, and we made a whole bunch of Lego music videos. So if you like low budget stuff, you can go check some of them out. I'm working on one right now.
Those Lego sets are expensive.
It's crazy.
Does anything on Earth hurt worse than stepping on a Lego?
I don't know. Being hooked up to a bunch of alien machines and shit. I don't know. Being probed.
They didn't they didn't probe me that way, man.
You were honest about everything, and now you're gonna hide.
Right.
It's like the. Anybody see that little Nas video where he lap dances with the devil?
Yes.
Well, if there is a God, don't you think, whoa, you want to lap dance with the devil? Here you go. Anyways,
right. What if that's your version of heaven?
Right.
There you go. You got your wish. And then he takes Satan's crown. So if there is a Satan, he's like, and God throws you to him. It's like, he took my crown, man. Yeah, I saw that video.
So it's super clear what Super Sunshine's motivation was for making his film.
Tom.
But Brian, Clevin, what was your motivation for making your films?
Well, Contaminated is pretty just, it was just about the anxiety of what was going on when it first happened. I think, that anxiety still persists for a lot of people, but I kind of like the idea of things invading the home because that's where people feel safest. So anytime there's some sort of like,
yeah, that resonates with me. That's horrific as fuck. Like
Funny Games fans.
Yeah, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Those guys at home invading and shit, and it's awful.
Yeah, exactly. But, and then with the box fort, I kind of wanted to just explore, the idea of as being a kid and losing someone close to you is something that kind of my films generally explore. It's something that I dealt with when I was younger. I had a lot of death in my life. So I kind of I've always gravitated towards those kind of stories. So I was, just interested in making something that was a little more commercial looking and a little had a bigger vibe than some of the projects I had done in the past. And then I wanted to keep it short and snappy and, I'm trying to do what you guys did, and make a feature film. So I've been trying to prove myself as somebody who's capable of doing something like that. So
I would say, technically, go for it. The only thing when you go to make a feature, and some people accuse us of not having enough story in our movie, but we did a very specific thing by design. Like we tell stories for a living, so we know how to tell a story. But when you go to make a feature, story first before everything, before looking polished, commercial, all that. Story always should come first. So that's all I would advise. But otherwise,
that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons I want to make the feature is because it's really. I find it actually it's challenging to write a feature film script, but I struggle trying to tell a short film. It's hard because you don't have the time to develop characters. You don't have the time to develop an actual story, and if you do, it's usually I don't know. For me, short films are great when they're done in very specific ways, and I think feature films have a lot more leeway to do whatever you want, and as long as you have a core story that's awesome, that's obviously the key.
A short film is structured almost like a joke,
like
set up, punchline. Now, a lot of
films definitely meet that criteria.
Yeah, and you will see a lot of that. That was one constructive thing I would say as far as your films go is try and come up with an ending. Because if you think of a joke or that's a parallel between the film and the joke, what's the punchline? In a lot of horror shorts, that punchline is some freaky looking thing screaming at us and then it cuts out. You know what I mean? Because that's like an easy punchline. But I would say that's just something I challenge all filmmakers who are making a short, especially a horror short, to do, is to come up with an ending that feels not only like justified, but specific, that this narrative you constructed demanded this ending, you know? And I'm not going to say it's like a cop out or something. That's just, it's a trope. It's a classic move. You know what I mean? And it works. And people do it for a reason because it works, but sometimes it works better than others. And it does, you know, run the risk of just becoming some, I would say, old hat or something. You know what I mean? Just, you never want someone to kind of expect that jump scare end, I would say, with a horror short, because it's just done so much, you know?
For sure. Like, for me, that's, I think about it as especially with the films I made, they're more, you know, a scene from a bigger idea. Like, I was trying to get people excited about a feature film version of the box fort.
Right. Yeah,
and I think
like a teaser.
And I think that it's pretty successful in that regard, because people generally have been like, I want to know what happens next. And anytime somebody says that, I think that's exciting for me, because
I would like to see it, not the Lars von Trier, like the 5 Obstructions, where he made this guy remake his film, but I would want to see you recut the box fort without that jump scare ending. Like if it just lingered and went out creepy and made us wonder what's coming next, where's it leading or something. Yeah, I'd just be curious to see that version, you know.
Like
that's
a Poe
newer
story
stuff.
or a Kubrick horror or something like that. Yeah.
Or even it's more today. I see it with like Eggers does it a lot, and like with Witch is a really good example.
Yes, great example. The
Lighthouse. Like that leaves you have to like that, right? Because like that leaves a lot to be desired if you go through a whole
super mainstream.
Right.
You got to hook the person to get them to wonder and want to know what happens next. So,
yeah, definitely.
I think the box fort could hook people. It definitely.
I think I think if it was a little longer, exactly.
Yeah.
The feature
it's more abrupt, right? Yeah, in a short film form. Yeah.
Whereas I love the look and feel of it and everything. That's what I was getting at earlier, though, with you, just to make sure when you go to make a feature, focus on story, because I feel like you got chops as far as a director.
Definitely production value is.
Yeah, it looked great, man. The mood, the tone. As a director, that's kind of your main job. Is first, of course, coherence and logic and everything, but tone, man. Tone is huge. And if you can nail the tone and stay consistent throughout, I mean, that's half the battle as a director, and it looks like you got that locked down. So
it's like you said, story is going to be king, and I just keep on writing scripts that are cheaper and cheaper to make, because
yeah, for sure.
That's the other secret that no one really tells you, is like you know, unless you're independently wealthy or have a lot of access to people who are, no one's going to give you money to make a movie. Like that's an insane investment. And even if you're extremely talented as a short filmmaker, nobody cares. You know, they're not going to just give you a big chunk of. Right. Yeah, definitely not for shorts, but for features, even like making the leap from short to feature, the challenge is going to be trying to figure out how to fund that and pay for it. So I just keep writing scripts that are cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to make.
That's what we aimed for with Cactus Chat. All shot in one basement, minimal actors, just a couple actors. You know,
that's like
there's
ultimate.
a million stories you can tell just with those ingredients. You know, sure, you can go shoot at Dunkirk or a Barry Lyndon or whatever if you have the budget, but you know, if you don't, then you know, again, how many stories just need 2 actors to just interact with each other? You know, sometimes the obstructions make it more interesting.
Exactly.
You know, the fact that it is shot in one location, the fact that you have limited resources makes you, you know, problem solve and have to get creative in other areas.
You got to get creative. Like we do a podcast and we do this thing where we do these movie mashups, death matches or whatever, where we each randomly pick something. And this week it was Nomadland versus In the Mouth of Madness. But watching In the Mouth of Madness, I was thinking that I would want to, like, can you make this film where it's just a guy in the padded room? Can you make that interesting? If you could pull that off, that to me is exponentially more impressive than running around with special effects, etc. You know, it's
you don't even have any production design in that one. Then
Exactly, but I'm saying that's the challenge, and I think what you're doing is right. You're sucking it all down in these scripts. You're trying to get smaller and smaller, less money, and that's why a primer is a great time travel movie compared to something, I don't know, Source Code or some shit that's just big budget and has all the bells and whistles. I think it was Orson Welles who said the enemy of art is the absence of limitations, and budget itself. That's something a lot of Hollywood movies suffer from, is having that huge budget and then they have to justify. It's almost like the military or something, oh, we got all this money, we got to go to war. But when you have no money, you really got to get creative, man. So look at that kind of as a plus on your side as far as inspiring you to tell some story that's going to be creative and inventive,
Well, I make a lot of music videos, and I used to hire people to make them, but when I make them, they don't cost me anything. So it kind of, and like you say, well, what are you going to spend your money on? Well, I can get behind a camera. I'd rather have somebody who's more talented do it, but then you learn, and you learn what works for you. And I'm always collecting video clips, and whenever me and my wife go anywhere, here's the cameras, out the windows and stuff. But when we went to film the mannequin sequence, we were like I said, it was going to be a music video, and we got there, they wanted to do a film, but they didn't know what they wanted to do. And we didn't want to wreck the mood, so we did everything they did, and they filmed everything they could with the mannequins you can imagine. And I've used now a lot of that footage in a bunch of music videos because of it. And it's well, it is what it is. But you got, hey, this cost me money. I can know it's really creative, and now I can put a story around it, but I'd much rather put a video around a story, but I've had to do it the other way sometimes.
Yeah, again, look at I said Todd Haynes Superstar, man. Everyone who's watching this or whatever watches it someday, look that shit up. It's on like IO9 or one of those weird site streamings, like the only place I could find it because it got banned by the Carpenter estate. But there is something supremely impressive if you can take some fucking Barbie dolls and make a horror movie essentially with it. You know what I mean? And he pulls it off. It's very just Sunset Boulevard, Baroque kind of horror movie. And again, man, toys, just one actor in a room, whatever. To me, that's just me. Again, this is all completely subjective. So even Chris and I were talking about the idea to have film competitions is kind of weird because it's all so subjective. It's not like the Olympics and shit where who really quote unquote won. So to whoever wins this competition or doesn't, again, you made a film that's kudos. Subjectively, these judges that were selected might lean one way or the other. But
I have a subjective opinion for Brian's film. I actually think Contaminated would be better for a feature because it hits a niche horror, much like the movie It did. Like, I was never afraid of clowns. I didn't give a shit. I saw It, and I'm like, I now don't like clowns. So if you can take something like agoraphobia or something that a small percent of the population has, but then make the rest of everybody fear it too, I think that's like a winning formula right there.
I've said before, one of the scariest shots in any movie ever to me is in Contagion. And this was years ago. I thought this before the pandemic hit us. There's a lingering shot on just a doorknob after a door shuts. And it's just like you've already loaded it. Exactly. You've loaded it up that there's this germ out there, and this is how it's transferred and everything. And then just the way Soderbergh just let the camera sit for a little second or two longer on this doorknob. You're just like, oh, there it is, man. There's the shark in the water. It's on a fucking doorknob. You can't even see it.
Invisible, right?
So, and again, that's a free shot. How much does it cost to take a shot of a doorknob? Nothing.
Right.
You just got to load
I
it
haven't touched my face since I saw that movie.
Right? Well, actually, speaking of Contaminated as a feature, though, and bringing up Todd Haynes again, not to sound like some Todd Haynes nut rider, but he actually might not mind that. But Safe. Did you ever see Safe with Julianne Moore? It's this movie where she's like becomes an extreme germaphobe, and it's very fucking trippy.
Is that where she's washing her hands to blood?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah.
So you could definitely make a feature on something like Contaminated. And again, though, the jump scare to me, weakest part of that. No offense, I'm just telling you honestly, constructively, that
for sure, I get it.
The mood you set up of ew, yeah, that the paranoia. Like, what if there's not even a fucking pandemic outside. That's what safe
It's
is,
all
essentially.
internal.
Exactly.
Or the film Bug, if you're familiar with that.
William Friedkin.
And it's just all about paranoia and fearing that this is going down in the world, but it's not even necessarily taking place. But but yeah, like context is important too. When we were, watching these and reviewing them, like, the difference between, like, for example, with your films, Brian, it's as you said, it's more like a scene out of a feature, and not meant to be like this entire story or what have you. Where in the case of Super Sunshine here, like, is this something that you actually experienced versus something you just conjured or even parodying, or, you know what I mean? So context is so important too. But of course, as an audience member, you're just going in kind of blind often, and you're just, taking it at face value, So, and that's
one of the
we,
contrasts. Oh, sorry to interrupt you, Chris.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mention this, but like the box for it, I have like a full crew. It's like a really long list of credits. Everyone brought their A game. With Contaminated, it's just me in the camera. I shot it myself, edited, did all the VFX, lit it, whatever. That's so. There's like, it's interesting to have both of those projects in here because. What I think what AV Super Sunshine was saying earlier, he's like, I learned how to make all these things. And that's where I started. I was just like, I didn't go to film school. So it was just like, what can I make with my camera that I have? And then you made a lot of really shitty movies, tried to make better stories. And then once, the quality started to get better and the stories sucked. And then you just kind of get better at telling better and better stories, I guess, because that's really, like Jay was saying, I mean, that's the name of the game, right? You can make it, everyone can make a movie look good these days,
exactly.
But not everyone can make a good story. So that's a work in progress. And that's
tone again, critical. Not everyone can nail that tone, and that really is what separates the great directors from the decent directors and the bad directors. But again, it's interesting, man. I think I got chops, and I want to talk about collaboration for a second, though. Because we kind of had that experience making Jack, where we had raised some money, say $5,000 or something, through a crowd fund, and we went to shoot with a full crew, camera rentals, etc. And the first day, $800 of that gone. And I'm like, this movie's going to take way longer than that. We got 5 minutes of footage maybe, and I even found, just personally, that I didn't like having a big crew around. First off, the nature of this film, I think we could do much better work with the actor without an audience, or like I'm having him say truly repulsive, vile, triggering shit. So if it's the more intimate I can make the shoot with just us and him, the better as far as that playground goes. But secondly, we kind of gave ourselves like a Dogma 95 kind of manifesto almost, where it's like, all right, got 10 minutes to light, because that was one thing with the crew. The guy we brought in was amazing. He lit shit beautifully, but it'd take 45 minutes to set up a shot. Meanwhile, my actor's on ice over here with a thumb in his ass, and everybody's getting loose and hanging out and talking on set. And then when it comes time to say action, you got guys stepping on your audio, etc. So
and you
we
get
kind of
3 minutes. You get like 3 minutes after you set up for an hour and a half, right? You're like, okay, so now we got to do the next setup.
Right. So we turned it found footage. We created this documentarian character and everything just to pull ourselves out of that and suck the collaboration as much as possible out of the film. But Chris and I have been watching more trauma films and shit like that. And as janky as those are, like we did a competition of fucking Fincher's Mank, about as polished as a film can get, right? Versus Trauma's Honor Killing. And we both preferred Honor Killing because it's so just from this girl who made it, Mercedes the Muse, she calls herself. And it's like, there's something about the no budget auteur that I like more than if you can assemble that big crew you were talking
like
about.
The
with box
rock of film.
Yeah, I want to see how you would frame this shot to tell your story. I want to see how you would light it. I want to see how you
auteur aspect.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, that's more compelling than something that that has 1,000 credits at the end. That like a Marvel film or what have you. I'd rather just see what originates from the mind of an auteur, however flawed, quote unquote, it might be, or how many words it might have.
And even
the
down
nice
to
thing about,
go ahead. Go.
A nice thing about making a really, really short movie is that I was able to storyboard every shot. So like the opening oneer, everything was planned for. That all comes from my dome, but asking people to execute it, I think being able to communicate as a director is like it's paramount. Like if I'm going to be hired eventually as a work for hire director, I have to prove that I can work with the crew. So I think that's why, like in the same year, I'm always excited to put out a film that I make where I do 100% of everything, but it's always empowering to like work with that crew too, because it's a totally different vibe. Even if the story was the same, you can tell that thing a million ways. So trying to communicate with all these other people and then like letting them go and do some of the things on their own. They're two different, very like, you'll end up with two different products, I guess. Yeah.
And it comes down to preferences again. Do you prefer punk rock over progressive rock or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, is it, or
I like them both,
produced, right.
I think they're both are like viable, and I think I'll keep doing both, because there's gonna be a lot of people saying no to certain projects that I want to make, and I'll go make those on my own.
That's the thing too. That's the thing, is it's so empowering, is the point, really, to suck as much collaboration out of it as possible. And I guess part of it is because we've seen so many filmmakers who say, man, I'd make this movie if only I had an editor, or if only I had a DP, etc. It's like, man, just take your phone and shoot some shit. Just make a film, because first off, technology has democratized all of this now. You can learn to edit through YouTube tutorials, etc. There's nothing stopping. Like you said, you didn't go to film school, right?
I learned it all on YouTube.
Exactly, man.
And you used to have to cut actual film physically, and now you can just do it on a computer. You have, exponentially more power as as far as production goes.
I make most of my money as an editor these days, so that's how it goes, I guess. You just pick up these skill sets because you want to do something, and then eventually you can monetize them.
The hardest part is the writing, honestly. Telling a good story.
Definitely.
I mean, it's
are you Jay and Chris both screenplay writers, or?
Yeah, we're that's how we've made our money in Hollywood and shit.
Okay.
We're in the WGA, etc.
For sure.
It's tough. I mean, being a writer is not a great way to try to make a living, because for some reason, as vital as the script is, Hollywood doesn't value it like it should. And I got a buddy who just had a movie wrap with fucking John Malkovich and Robert De Niro in it, and he's supposed to get half of his pay before they start shooting, first day of production. Writer gets all of his balance paid, and they just didn't pay him. So this guy's now he's got a lawyer up and all this to try and squeeze money from a stone. They just don't give a shit about writers, yet it's the most vital thing. But if you want to be a filmmaker, if you can't get to a point where you're writing those stories yourself, you're gonna have to partner up with somebody. But that gets tough too, because how do you compensate this writer if you're making no budget shit? I don't know.
No, I think it's interesting because AV Super Sunshine didn't have to write. He just told the story.
But it did take a long time in the narrative short to write that narrative, and then Philomena, my wife, who's not here, she dictated some. So then, hey, sound this way. Yeah, it's not easy. In our 58-minute documentary, the filmmaker that made that this film was made for, he did a lot on his iPhone, and it was great because it was spur of the moment, people off guard. You got the honest, it looks so honest. But on the festivals we've seen it at, that we've gone to, where that were open this spring, it's hard to watch on the big screen if it's shaky. So you have to have a really steady iPhone hand. But
you could buy stabilizers and little gimbals and shit. You could do a lot on the iPhone. You could throw on anamorphic lenses. If you just take an iPhone naked and hand hold it, it's not going to look that great. But you can definitely kit it up a little bit.
But if you can pull out a camera and and have a conversation with someone and have it be real, and how it is that, hey, let's do this fake conversation now. It's much harder. It's much easier to be real. Yes.
Well, yeah, that's why I like Nomadland. We were talking about there's these movies that cast non-actors. I was watching a thing about The Bronx Tale. Other than Chaz Palminteri and De Niro, there's like 3 other guys who had ever acted in anything in that movie. And they just cast people from the street, and they get them to tell their own real stories and shit.
Speaking of Soderbergh again, Bubble. You know, casting the local KFC manager and stuff. It's like real people.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
what do you think of pachyderms?
All right. Well, what do you guys have working on now? I know, Brian, you're trying to get a box fort feature going.
Yeah. Well, so that is in the hands of a few producers. That one's going to require an actual budget. While I was waiting for that, I decided to do something else, and we're going to go make that in July. It'll be my first feature film. I'm self-financing that. So
nice. Do you want to share what the premise is or anything? Is it all under wraps or what?
I mean, yeah, I've registered it with the Library of Congress and stuff, so I don't really care. And I mean, go if you gotta go make a version of it, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's called the Undead and the Devil, and it's a father-son story about a kid who never met his dad, and he thought his dad was dead his whole life, and he finds out his dad actually died when he's like in his 20s. Because his dad leaves all of his inheritance to him. So he goes to his house and finds out his dad is into witchcraft, and there's a bunch of vampires that don't want the devil to return. So they're trying to make sure that the kid doesn't do anything stupid and bring about the apocalypse.
This will be submitted for next year's festival, then, right?
Absolutely. If I can get it shot and cut before then.
Vampires versus the devil?
That's going to be in October, right? So I have like a year and a half. Yeah, we're good. I'll be there.
October 2022.
I look forward to seeing that one.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Sunshine, what do you got going on right now?
Well, I'm working with an entertainment lawyer who wants to take this film to the next level, and wants me to work with a film house. But because of the pandemic, Hollywood's been shut down. We finished this film right as the pandemic hit. In fact, and we had some people set up that wanted to try to get it placed somewhere, and they all, nothing's going on. And in that process, we've had some offers to make it better, and we just might do that. So I got this project called Candyland that came up before this, which is a story that includes the abduction, and I want to do like a rock and roll movie like The Who, Tommy, and I wrote all these songs to go with this movie. So I had this project, but I don't know, there's probably not a market for that, a rock and roll type movie that they had in the 70s, but people seem to want to hear about things like abduction. So
yeah,
people are into musicals, so especially like weird horror crossover musicals. That's guaranteed gold.
Yeah, if you remember the Who's movie Tommy, each scene had a different singer in it, and each scene it kind of fit together, but it really didn't, But yeah, it was just kind of fun. And Pink Floyd used to make those rock and roll movies. It would be fun. But
it's actually, god damn, am I about to bring Todd Haynes up a third time? This is weird. Did you see that Don't Look Back, I think it was called, where it was like the Bob Dylan story, and he had all these different actors. Todd Solondz did this as well in a movie, where you have one character, but you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna have 6 different actors play the character, and it's not even about time passage or anything. It's just like to make it interesting, or to say, all right, we're going through this movement or sequence of the film that I want to feel a certain way, so I'm going to cast a different actor in it that might help evoke that feeling in the audience or something, And again, this is a low budget thing again. It's like, why not? Instead of if you're making some Weekend Warrior shit and your lead actor is always busy at work or whatever, why not cast multiple people to play that character? Get funky with it, Just tell the story.
Are you saying that's what we should have done with Gaul when he gained 40 pounds and got new teeth?
Yeah, right. We should have called him Michael Dank. Made him shave his head.
That's actually a really interesting idea, though.
Yeah, man. It's just like, don't think of the limitations as limitations, Just tell the story. As long as everything you're doing is in service of telling that story, you can do so much weird, crazy, funky, dynamic shit,
No, you don't have problems. You have opportunities.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
One thing I learned is relationships are huge it's a sad, but it's the world we live in. And I remembered when Lady Gaga did her movie, she said the first thing I did is I got an entertainment attorney. That's the first thing I did. I didn't go to a record producer. I went to I got an
Smart.
entertainment attorney. First thing, and I'm talking to this guy, and I know this guy. I'll make a phone call right now. I mean, that's what we all need is, but you got to have something to go with it. And but
to attract them even.
Yeah. And if we tried to get this thing on Netflix, and Netflix was like, it's got to go through an attorney. You try to get a hold of Tom DeLonge at To the Stars Academy because he does films, and we got a story that says you need an attorney, or we won't even talk to you. So it's just a weird, scenario.
Or an agent or what have you.
Man,
I sort of get it though, because if they don't have that filtering system, you'll have every Yahoo off the street just like saying I've got something. So I can see why that mechanism exists.
Are you guys self-distributing Cactus Jack, or you have a distributor?
We've been self-distributing through Vimeo, but we're looking at aggregators to stream it.
Like right now,
but it's kind of too hot for TV,
Yeah.
It's so trigger prone.
Yeah.
But we're getting more interest from Europe as far as aggregators go than the U.S., which I'm totally down for.
Yeah, I mean, an aggregator, for people who don't know, an aggregator is essentially like Netflix, Amazon, etc. don't want to make individual deals with every fucking movie that goes on there. So there are these services called aggregators, which will block 50, 100, 200 movies together and sell them all at once to a Netflix or whatever. But the problem with that is that, like in our case, we went to a pretty well-known aggregator, and they even took like our managers helping out as a producer and stuff on this. And I think he put a down payment down and everything. And then they started looking at our shit, and they're like, we don't think we could share this with our partners. So basically,
swastikas on the posters.
So, but then we went to Europe, and our manager hooked us up with this publicist who does a lot of Lars von Trier films, etc., covers Europe, and she loved the movie, and I guess it would help, in that regard, but we got to get it on at least a European aggregator so we have a launch date, because it's hard for a publicist without like a drop date to go to a bunch of critics and shit. But I don't know, man. Our plan was always, let's just make this thing for nothing, and if it takes 20 years to find its audience, fuck it. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of it. It's just, it'll always be out there. If we own it, we control it. We can just put it on Vimeo, or if we want, we can partner up, get it on Amazon or iTunes or whatever, and pay a split. But
you guys make another movie down the road that gets a little more attention. People go backwards in catalogs all the time.
That's how we look at everything we do.
These guys made this.
Fuck yeah. Let me see what else they made.
We got a couple things in the works right now. Like hopefully in the next week or two, this script, one of our calling card scripts from like 12 years ago that first got assigned at WME and shit, got our first agent. We rewrote it a couple years ago, but this Oscar-winning actor who we fucking love and is like Dreamcast for it, dug it, and people who work for him had optioned it for like 2 years and couldn't find the money, and then the pandemic hit and shit. But now we found an indie financier. We're hoping to hook that all up and get going. So I'm kind of hoping no one knows about Cactus Jack until after all that's done. That movie's hopefully made. They're talking about shooting in November, fast tracking this thing. So I'm like, let's keep this thing quiet for now, because I don't need any cancel culture fucking war cries while we're trying to get this deal done.
It's like,
those are unavoidable.
I know this songwriter is very successful in Nashville, and he says some people like chocolate, some people like strawberry, but everybody likes vanilla, which means, in my case, it was, I use a lot of curse words. If so in the documentary is, you got to take that one out. You got to take that one out. You got to take that one out. Because, it's sad, but, it's like to hit a wider audience, sometimes you got to be really creative to get that same content and feel out there by kind of not censoring yourself, getting it through. I don't know how to say that, but.
Well, Chris and I, man, we talk all the time, and we've probably said it even as guests on Chris's show and shit. We talk about how we're enamored with this idea of a creative middle class. Like, does it have to be rags or riches? Does it have to be you're either making no money off your shit or you make $500,000 or something as some Hollywood writer or filmmaker? But a creative middle class, you're like, can I just make these little films, find a little niche audience, and I make 60 grand a year making this content, you know? It's like, maybe you could do that and it could have all the cuss words or whatever the fuck in it, you know? It doesn't matter because you're just catering to this one little audience instead of trying to be some 4-quadrant tentpole movie that appeals to everyone. And you know the old saying, if you're trying to appeal to everyone, you usually appeal to no one, you know? So I don't know. It's hard though. It's hard because there's just such a glut of material out there. It's like, how do you find that audience? How do you connect with them? Are you willing to take 10 years to do it? You know,
you have to build that audience somehow. That is like a whole nother creature that I'd have no idea. Like, I don't even know where they are. I mean, they're out there somewhere, but
neither do we. That's what we were trying to see what we could do with Jack, you know, but then we don't even know who the audience for this shit is. It's so deviant, but
yeah, it seems everything's oversaturated now, but at the same time, we have a wider audience than ever. There's 8 billion people in the world, and more are getting access to, you know, the internet and such. So, you know, as long as you can find a niche that is into what you're presenting, then that might be enough, you know, at least to achieve that creative middle class, as Jay was talking about. But personally, I'd rather just make what I think turns me on, and I hope other people dig it. And if they don't, then they don't, you know. I'm not striving to achieve a certain market or demographic, or, you know, I'm not thinking economically at all personally. I just would rather just do, that's what got me into this. It's just, you know, being inspired by certain ideas, and certain things just kind of excite your mind and you pursue that, you know, and hopefully enough people will appreciate it, you know. It really kind of turns me off to even try to target or, you know, maximize an audience and stuff, you know. That's where my sensibilities are personally. But
you know, it's very easy for your shit to just languish self-published on Amazon.
That's okay,
or whatever
though.
when you
I'm
do
okay
that,
with that personally.
Right.
That's why I work a day job and just, you know,
like hopefully
I'm an engineer by day, and I just do this stuff because I enjoy it, and I'm not trying to, like, you know, to make it a commodity or a product or anything.
Well, this is like a Q&A, right? So to you guys, I'll ask, do you find the act of creation as its own reward? Or, like, if you aren't making money doing this in 5 years, you're not going to make films anymore, you know, or 10 years or whatever timeline you give yourself?
AB, you want to go, man?
Sure, yeah. I live in a world where I've got to come up with a new single every 4 months, and I got to have a video with it. So I'm going to be doing video forever. And those are like short stories, you know.
Yep.
And but I really like film, and I can see myself doing more and more film. And you know, one of the ways that I try to look at things, and I could do this as a songwriter. Like, if I take all the pronouns out of a song, it appeals to everybody, you know, which doesn't change my song, you know. But you know, if I say she, you know, and if I sing words like you instead of me, then you're gonna tune in and say, yeah, you're talking about me, man. You know,
Baby Shark is the most popular song in the world.
Yeah, so it's, you know, it can be a challenge, and then the reward is hitting a big audience. And I don't think nobody's here doing this for money. I can tell that, you know. You're doing it because you love what you're doing, you know. And anyways, it's just fun. It's sometimes it's fun to see it. Who can I appeal to? Can I get this color person, that color person, this sex, that sex? Can I get them all? And then how do I do that, you know, and still be me and still be cool, man? You know, it's not easy, you know, it's not easy. And the people that can do that, they seem to be rewarded, you know, and some of them seem to sell out later, and others seem to stay cool and go back in the garage.
The question is, like, how calculated is it?
You know, there's a guy, he figured out how to do it, but he can do whatever he wants now. So, you know, and whenever, you know, anyways, it's fun, yeah.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's nothing else but film. I've had a career doing other things, and it was the darkest period of my life, and it almost killed me. So, for me, there's nothing but film. I've been doing this full time for, you know, 5 years now. Before that, I was part-time doing other shit while I was moonlighting as a filmmaker for 10 years. So there's nothing else for me. I've tried it. There's nothing. So I'll be making films even if no one's watching them in 5 years.
Cheers.
But for sure, I just keep making the shit that I want to make, which is probably why I'm not as far along as some
Same with
people
us,
who are
dude.
maybe a little more calculated with what they make. I made a movie called Deer Lights, which was just
Oh, I saw that.
just
I
a
like
creepy,
that.
surrealist.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
That was like, just that's the kind of stuff I make. Either make really surreal, weird stuff or horror stuff, and I'm still trying to work on like that narrative thread of like, can I entertain and also tell a coherent story that people can, grab onto some part of. But all my subject matter is really dark, so I'm already limiting my audience to that group of people, and I don't care. I really don't. I'm sure there's going to be like
I feel like that's
I want
a key to success. You see like Joe Rogans and really successful people. They talk about they just do what they enjoy and what's fun. And there's a lot of people who do that and they never achieve success because their shit doesn't resonate with people or whatever. But it's still the way to do it. I think,
Yeah.
If you get an
trying to mimic other artists or trying to like figure out what people want is almost, I think, an impossible task. Hollywood does it all the time, and they spend hundreds of millions of dollars, and they fail all the time.
John Carter and shit, right?
Yeah, like how if they can't figure it out, how does like some peon, like me, figure it out?
I think you nailed the shit on the head when you were basically saying you make what you want to see. Essentially, it's like think of the movies that you want to see that no one else has made and make them.
Right.
Yeah. Where that's what the one I'm making this summer is. I'm telling you, like. I was like, I need a vampire action movie. There hasn't been a good one in a while. And I was like, I love The Evil Dead. I was like, what can I do that's just one location? It's got witchcraft. It's got fucking vampires. It's going to be sauce. I think this one people are going to like.
Are you going to have...
Sounds cool.
Are you doing like slow burn creepy vampires? Or are you like hyped up action vampires?
Like
Blade versus...
So yeah, I'd say there's a combination of the two. It's not; these are not sexy vampires. I'll say that they're not. They're
sparkles.
There's like the human converted vampires, and those are a little, just a little more ravenous. And then there's the head vampire, which is more visually like a Nosferatu modernized kind of character.
Salem's Lot, that 80s miniseries Salem's Lot is still the creepiest vampire of all time.
Barlow, right?
Yeah. Fuck yeah, bring it. I look forward
to
it.
Yeah. And I just want, I really wanted to do something with a lot of practical special effects and stuff. So this one's got a lot of that. A lot of blood splatters on my face.
Can't wait to see it.
What's neat about your story, Brian, is I study religion, and if you study religion, when the devil does come back, Saint Michael comes and throws it in the pit. The party's over. So yeah, they don't want. I can see that. It's great. I mean, it's really smart. I like it. So
thanks, man.
If they can stop the devil from coming back, things go on, and
exactly.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, we're coming up on our time limit. Let's give some final thoughts. Tom, what did you think of the festival?
I enjoyed it tremendously. It's always so fun just watching all those movies, and
yeah, Wisconsin films are always fun to watch. It's always neat to see what people are coming up with and the ingenuity and the creativity.
No, the festival gives you a sense of pride too, watching the Wisconsin films. Going, holy crap, they can make that here. Nothing's holding you back.
Yeah.
I've gone around the country with deer lights and stuff, and I was like getting programmed in some cool blocks. But I'm always just amazed now to see these Wisconsin films because they're of better quality than a lot of the blocks I was getting programmed in, and I was like, I'm shocked because you got international and national films in these blocks, and this is just Wisconsin peeps. A lot of these films is cool because I don't know them. They're either not from Milwaukee or they're Milwaukee adjacent. They're like a smaller town, and that also is cool to know that people are just out there making movies wherever they can.
Totally. It'd be awesome if in a few years you get 80 entries or something, for Wisconsin shorts. It'd be sweet.
Yeah, we get quite a few. Some years we get more than others. Of course, next year we're going to be in person. We're going to be in the theater, so all the Wisconsin filmmakers that attend can meet and mingle.
Also, we need to bomb Film Freeway with reviews. Just get all of our friends reviewing on there. Get get back on that 100 list.
Yeah, we were on the 100 list the first year, but somebody knocked us off. Actually, last year we got we got a mediocre review, I guess I'd say. It wasn't a bad review, but somebody, because we had to delay the festival because of the pandemic, and I guess this guy wasn't happy with it, so he gave us.
Man, just like even the physical theater, like you go to these festivals and they're claiming to be top 100 and they're massive. They got all these people, all these great films, and like you're in a fucking coffee shop, you know, they're projecting on the wall, and it's like we got this sick theater, we got this like incredible experience. There's just like this ravenous horror fandom that we have in Milwaukee that's just like, it's special. I'm so happy that we have this festival.
Bar none, the dopest trophy in the game.
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah, it is.
Made out
that
of
beer.
bones and shit.
Someday
only
I dream of
trophy
having one of those.
Yeah, fucking Oscar.
I demand one of those as the judge.
Only film festival trophy that I know of that's made out of human bones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Human bones, people.
I told Megan, she's like, it's not allowed in the house if you get one, but
I mean, what else says Wisconsin? You know,
exactly.
trophy with human bones.
And a vertebrae, yeah.
Ed Gein, Jeffrey Dahmer.
all right, Chris, Jay, and we're gonna come up with a script that is a horror movie about a film festival that gives real bone awards, and then
There you
it
go.
goes off the
The
rails.
bones are from the
Sounds
losers.
We'll write it. You direct it. That's just
Well, it was bones,
Yes.
but it could have been. There was we were talking about this on the radio show. There was a mortician. Tom and Molly know this story. There's a Milwaukee mortician. This was back in the early 80s, that she worked for the coroner, and the homeless men that would come in, she would snip off their testicles and save them in these mayonnaise jars and pickle jars, and she did this for years without getting caught. So, could have been a trophy made out
This
of.
is in Milwaukee.
She just had them lining her like shelves.
Fucking patriarchy.
This room.
She had like thousands of testicles. In this.
It sounds like she's like a modern hero for some people.
This
Dude, this is like pure misogyny, though, that no one knows of her. It's like the patriarchy again. We got to fucking corner the market on all the serial killer shit. People should know this woman.
Wisconsin's just
Definitely.
I don't know.
Wow.
Like Oprah.
But she's not a serial killer though, because these people are already dead, right?
They were
Yeah,
dead. Well,
she's just a weird person.
She
Weird.
just enjoys a
Can't kill
nice
them.
12-year.
It's got to be
Sandra
80.
S.
6 of the nuts were taken from living people, but you have to guess which ones.
Oh, God.
like
Chris
Ed-
Sandra asked if anyone's been haunted by their trophy.
I know of. Not that I know of.
Reports, yeah.
There's a short film for you. Some guy
Exactly.
wins the Twisted Dream thing, gets haunted by the trophy.
I was concerned with
Then he hires a psychic to drive off the evil, right? That'd be good.
when
Then
we gave-
aliens save him from the haunting and shit. Yeah.
when we
Oh,
gave
yeah.
Mark Orkart his trophy, I was concerned that he wasn't going to take it because Mark is a little different than everybody else, and I was concerned how he would accept the trophy. But he loved it. He loved it. At least he told me he loved it.
Is
They're
it? This
great
is when he got the like lifetime achievement award or whatever.
The backbone of Wisconsin horror. Was
Yeah.
the backbone. Yeah.
I look
Yeah, the
forward
real
to receiving ours later.
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
Yes, we have an amazing artist, Joe from Stinky Goblin Graphics, or Joe from Stinky Goblin Emporium. I'm sorry, that makes all of our trophies, and he does an amazing job. And he does our poster art every year.
I was going to say, who does the
I was gonna say.
posters? The posters are
Posters are
fucking
so good.
dank.
How the
They
poster
are.
art this year, I think, is sick.
Yeah,
Yes.
for being judges, we need some posters, dude. Hook us up.
I was going to get some printed up. I will have some printed up for next year for sale, and people
We
wait.
should at least be putting them on like one of those sites where you can just order.
Yeah.
I want a print of that poster.
Well, I had
NFT
to say,
bitches.
somebody flagged it, and it got DMCA'd. So we're not going to name who did that. But yeah,
Mm.
he did.
But I know.
Make a new one, but I will. Eventually, I will.
Oh,
You got
that was
haters?
one cool thing with Cactus Jack is someone hijacked our merch. Somebody on Amazon is selling Cactus Jack posters if you want one.
Sweet.
Yes.
So, like, yeah.
You know,
We
you
wanted
already
to
have-
dime
I
from
know
it.
you
wanted
already-
to get in
yeah,
on it,
bootleg
you know.
If you want something with a swastika on it in your house, feel free to order one from this third party.
I was talking to a film guy last week who was interested in just helping us distribute the film, and he had a site where your stuff could be printed on anything. Has anybody ever done that with their poster art or?
Nah, shit takes money.
Well, he claimed it was just like, I'll set you all up, and then when it sells, then he takes a cut. But
Yeah, you
I
can
figured it took money. That's why I said, well, let me know, man.
you can set up accounts with like Teespring and Cafe Press. That's free.
Just
You
print
don't-
on demand.
Print on demand. Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Then you could put your movie poster on a coffee mug or something.
Yep.
I guess I would need a real movie poster for that. That's what costs money.
So if you got like Adobe that comes with that, Illustrator, you just
Sure, that's a YouTube tutorial.
strip your body out against the
Sandra
background.
says
Yeah.
in 2008 she had 3 discs removed from the back and they replaced the bones from the cavern. Did you save the bones?
It's like that Greek myth or Greek puzzle about the ship. If you replace a ship like board by board, and by the end it's an entirely set of wood, is it still the same ship? That's basically what she's getting at. Yeah, like, if you just replace my body piece by piece, am I still the same person?
It takes 7 years for your body to replace every cell in your body. If the blood vessels and everything worked on the bones and they took, then they have been replaced by her own cells by now. So you are back to normal.
In other news, Sandra is going to be next year's trophy.
I was just going to ask that. I was going to say, did you keep those bones because we can make them into a trophy? That was the took out.
My birds love neck bones too. I could give them to my bird.
Chris and I got some southern. We say, it's on like a pot of neck bones all the time.
Chew on their neck bones, man. There's good stuff in there. You're back to Sandra.
Normal?
Your cells have replaced your dead cells.
You're you, Sandra.
Normal is
well, based on what Tom was saying, we're all new people every 7 years.
Right.
Yep. After 7 years, it's a whole different set of atoms and cells and shit.
Yep.
So that's pretty wild.
That's why they set up the credit report thing.
Exactly right. 7 years bad luck.
Should you be able to go to jail for 7 years? Because after 7 years, that person no longer exists at all.
It's a great defense. Chris and I have always joked about, as filmmakers, how you get busted for, like, the first short film we ever made, our manager was like, you can't have that Elvis clock in the background because the Elvis estate and blah, 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 and all that kind of shit. And we're like, let someone take us to court over this shit, because we're going to claim all we did was capture the light rays that bounced off of that object. So are you telling me the Elvis estate owns every light ray that fucking bounces off of every... Yeah.
Jay, complete side note.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say I had this video guy in Beverly Hills making my music videos, and he was stealing stuff like crazy, And I said, well, what do you whatever it's called, common law. So my music producer's like, you got Steve Aoki in your video. He's a DJ. And they go, yeah, I know. And he says, you got to take him out. I said, why? Because he's my friend. You got to take him out. So, anyways, but. It's funny, you can put all that stuff in as long as you just use it in a certain way. And but
what were you saying?
Some experience there.
I was just gonna say how I had just noticed your Abe Lincoln mask hanging in the back corner. Okay, it's a little bit creepy. Shit. Yeah.
If you've seen Cactus Jack, that mask is way creepier than that mask.
Is that a Wheel of Fortune mask or what? It's got the colors.
It's a wheel with the Jason mask.
It's a Jason Voorhees mask, but it is on a wheel that, if you watch the film again, will be featured.
All right, cool.
Wheel of Torture.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So Chris, do you have a guitar shop in your room? That's a lot. Those are some nice guitars. That's a lot of them.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a problem. We all have our addictions. What's that?
I've got some guitars too. I like guitars, so
nice.
You got to set up like a guitar shop. Well, I expect someone to come in and say, "I'll take the white one." No, I like it.
Guitars are sexy.
You have a PRS in there, Chris?
Oh shit! Brian knows his guitars.
What happened?
Why am I the only one? I'm scared.
You leaned in way too far.
You ready for your close-up?
What's going on?
I was just waiting to see. I was like, is that a PRS that you got there, Chris?
Which one are you talking about?
The blue sunburst one. Or like
PS reports and shit. What are you talking about?
No, is it PRS? It's a type of guitar brand.
I had a guitar that was a POS.
Yeah, right.
R.W. Jameson. It's a cheapo, I think. It's actually not
Okay.
mine. Yeah.
Oh, right on. Oh, you're just a faker? What is this? Or is that the
That's
only
right.
one that's not yours?
What's your best guitar
It's
up there,
the only
dude?
one this time. Probably the 7-string Les Paul.
Wow.
Shout out to Wisconsin.
And I got a pretty decent Martin too, acoustic Martin.
Those are nice. The acoustics
The
are
rest are
phenomenal.
all pretty cheapo. What's that?
Acoustic
acoustics
guitars
are
are getting,
phenomenal.
wood's getting really expensive. Guitars prices are going way up if you want good wood. So just interesting.
Good wood was
Nice.
a nickname.
Well, Martin's a company that uses good wood.
Wait,
so
what
all
are
their
you
guitars have gone up.
I was going to say I did a lot of Molly in college, but I didn't want Tom to get offended or anything.
That's all right.
All right, I think it's time to wrap things up. We've been
On that note,
way too long. We're way off topic. Thanks for coming on, guys.
that's
Yeah,
when it gets
thank you
good.
very much. Go check out the Wisconsin short films.
Yes.
Yes.
Hype man.
Yep.
Go get 'em.
Support Wisconsin.
Hey, good job, guys.
Awesome.
Good job
Hey,
making some
AV
shit.
Super Sunshine, real quick. You had a plug you were doing earlier before we were on.
Oh,
Yeah.
we've got a new music video and single out. It's called "A Wedding Song." And anyways, it's gotten real popular. So we're going to be on the Tamron Hall show performing it acoustically on this Friday, and then on the CBS Saturday sessions this Saturday. I think Tamron Hall's at about 2:00, and Saturday sessions is about 6 a.m. So if you get a chance, you can see us playing and singing.
Awesome.
I'm
You
playing.
guys got
against-
YouTube channels or anything? Like
Yeah. If you got AV Super Sunshine in Google, lots of stuff comes up. And
What about
I've
you,
got
Brian?
put 22 different music videos on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's the same story. Just my Brian Clewin will give me your website, YouTube, Vimeo, all the good stuff.
Check out Deer Lights. It's dope.
Thank you.
An
Appreciate it.
award,
Cool.
Dreams award winner.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for coming on, guys. We'll have more Q&As coming up on Monday.